Hey, it's Cy Blackburn here, and I'm going to debunk one of the most common myths when it comes to building out a coaching business. In your journey to building the business, I'm sure people have told you that you need to be all over social media. Now, in theory, that makes sense, because if you're all over social media, therefore you get visibility. And if you get visibility, it means that you slowly build up what we call touch points with target clients. They see you everywhere. And as a result of seeing you everywhere, eventually they get to know you. And when they get to know you, that trust slowly starts to build. And as we all know, trust and buying coaching is intrinsically linked. So theoretically, it makes sense. Now, anybody that's actually tried being all over social media will slowly start to realize in order to do it properly, it firstly leads to massive overwhelm, scattered focus, and lackluster results. Because one of the questions that coaches tend not to ask when being given that advice is firstly, where do my target clients actually hang out? Does it make sense to scatter my focus all over different social media channels? There are over a dozen effective and popular social media channels, each with their own tricks and tactics in order to get visibility. And each one houses a different type of audience group. Obviously, when you start looking at the age demographic, Snapchat, the majority of users are under the age of 20. So for any coach looking at coaching older generations, that doesn't make sense anymore. So different social media channels are good for different niches. So the question becomes not, how do I get all over social media, but what type of media are my target niche consuming the most? Obviously, if you're a business coach, then LinkedIn makes the most sense to focus your efforts on. If you are a health and wellness coach, it becomes Instagram because it's a very visual niche and they respond to visual stimulus. If you're in personal development, Facebook is the way to go because of that community aspect. But of course, in the eyes of modeling, following people that are doing it right, let's say the big name coaches, you got the Tony Robbins, the Les Browns, the Robin Sharmas, what are they doing? Well, they seem to appear like they're all over social media. But the reality is the vast majority, upwards of 80% of their time, resources, and money are spent on focusing on a single platform. Now understand that it's not the head coach that focuses on all the different platforms or even 80% of their time. They have teams which they have delegated that effort to in order to make that platform work. And so obviously if you've got teams of researchers, teams of analysts analyzing all of the different platforms, and in spite of unlimited resources, money, connections, they still choose to spend the majority of their efforts and money on a single platform, that tells us that scattering our focus all over the internet is not going to be effective. And yet it is commonplace conventional wisdom when starting up a business, and it is totally wrong. You see, the issues come in with actually how to be effective in each one of these channels. Now, if you just take Facebook alone and you look at a daily routine, let's say every day you are going to do something on Facebook. As a business owner on Facebook, there are hundreds of things that you can do on any distinct day in order to shift the results of the business. Now, if you combine that with the dozens or so other popular media channels, then you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of repeatable things that you have to do on a daily basis. Now, the real issue comes with the scattered focus. As we all know, laser focus achieves amazing results. But if we spread ourselves very thin across multiple different social media channels, how could we possibly achieve any kind of result on any of them? Because the things which get Instagram to work are distinctly different from the ones which get Facebook to work. And in fact, on any given day, if you were going to do a daily workflow on Facebook, you have hundreds of different options and different strategies which you can use in order to build a business. Now, you combine that with the dozen or so social media channels out there, all of a sudden, okay, maybe you could do a few of them, but now we're talking thousands of different daily things that you need to do. How could any one person be effective at any one or any multiple platform when that's what we are doing, scattering and running thin our focus on all of them? So of course, dividing up our efforts across multiple different social media channels tends to fail because of the overwhelm of daily workflow. But then the other logic is, well, if the the vast majority of my clients are coming from Facebook, why am I paying equal attention to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat? The reality is, by scattering our focus, we tend to achieve very poor results in all of them. Now, it's a telltale sign that those that are actually succeeding in social media focus the majority of their attention on the single channel which they know that their clients ultimately hang out and their clients are actually going to respond to. Because the thing is, by spreading your attention that thin across so many different channels, what happens is you're ultimately portraying yourself poorly on all of them. So of course, if you're all over social media, it's impossible to produce content which actually is effective, because content becomes more like a daily checklist, right? I'm just going to put it out there because that's what I think I need to do, versus thinking of actually how effective this content ends up being. So ultimately, you create this long trail of content which follows you for the entire existence of your coaching business. So somebody ends up telling you, you know what you should do? You should focus down on a couple of channels and not scatter your focus. Well, while that is a valid thing to do, then the question becomes, what media channel should you actually focus on? So of course, you start to go back and you start to look at, well, what have I done so far which has actually generated results for me? And because of all of the poor performance which has ended up being posted on all of these channels, you end up with something called Gordian's knot, where you can't actually tell what is delivering results versus what's not. So ultimately, if you do want to start focusing on a single channel, all of the efforts that you've got onto this point, because they were so poorly executed, because of the lack of focus, which is understandable, it becomes like starting over from zero. So all of the efforts that you had by diluting and spreading yourself too thin end up counting for zilch. However, there is a further issue that occurs. Anything that is written on the internet stays in ink. It is not pencil, which can easily be erased. So when you do get clients coming to you, the idea of them referring word of mouth clients to you gets lesser and lesser and lesser. And the reason behind that is because these clients want to refer you. It's not like they don't. But when they refer somebody to you, they are conscious that just by Googling you, they'll find this long trail of content which has been poorly created and ultimately is a poor representation of you. And as we know, with clients that refer coaches to other clients, they need to make sure that they are not going to get embarrassed in that referral. And because of that long trail of content, it ends up putting doubt in their minds. So slowly your referral base starts to erode at the same time. But in addition to that, if you do come across marketing methods which ultimately succeed for you, the real issue is that by that long trail of being all over social media and not focusing, it'll lead to lower conversion rates on anything you do going forward, because that trail has stayed with you. So the spiral doesn't only count for what has been done before, but it also will affect you going forward. And this is what a lot of coaches face by not properly planning their approach and following conventional wisdom to be everywhere and be omnipresent. They end up not only tarnishing their initial reputation, but also destroying the effects of anything that they do going forward, because it carries with it this long history of when they didn't do things effectively. However, when you look at the coaches that are succeeding, as I mentioned, they are spending 80% of their time on a single channel. And all of the research and analysis which has gone into what is that single channel is vitally important. Because if you are going to spend your time ultimately building a business which is effective at getting clients, you need to know where your clients are hanging out and what kind of media they are ultimately consuming. However, most of these coaches, they do have a team of consultants ready at their beck and call to do that research for them. And that is the challenge with most startup coaches. They don't know where to start. They don't know whether to start at this channel or this channel or this channel or this channel, so they start absolutely everywhere. And they don't really have a mentor or a guide to help discern what is going to be effective for them. And that's why we started our business, to take coaches with great talent and showcase them to the world. Because that's what we saw. It wasn't that these coaches weren't good at what they do. In fact, they were exceptional. However, the issues start to come about when you can be great at what you do, but if the world doesn't know, you might as well not exist. The trick is to know what channel you need to focus on. Where do your target clients hang out, and where should you spend 80% of your time in order to get the biggest bang for the effort that you put in? So here's what I'd like to do for you. I'd like to offer you a complimentary business transformation session. And in that business transformation session, it's going to be with our strategist team. Now, this is the same team which has been with me for over 10 years, working one-on-one with thousands of coaches, ranging from Olympians, UN advisors, Mr. Universes, and people that have created a global transformation. Many of our strategist team have been featured in different publications. We even have contributors that are contributing towards Forbes magazine on a regular basis. And this is important because of that wealth of experience that our strategist team have. It means that they have the tools and the insights needed to identify what is that channel that's going to give you the biggest bang for your effort when it comes to your niche. Where should you focus 80% of your time and attention in order to get the target clientele which are going to deliver what you want out of your business? So if you want to book in that strategy session, here's what you need to do. Click the button or click the link on your screen and you'll go to a calendar where you can book in that session. But one thing to be aware of, because we do not have too many strategists in our team, it's important to know that their spots fill up fast. Now, the reason we don't have too many strategists is because they need to go through hundreds of these one-on-one sessions working with coaches to make sure that they are competent enough in order to deliver the insights to you which are going to make the difference to your business. So understand that it is on a first come, first served basis. And if you do not book in your session right now, there is no guarantee that there will be spots opening up. Once you've booked in that session, your business strategist will be reaching out to you and working with you for the first few days before the call to make sure that on that call itself, the insights and the tools delivered to you in order to get you from where you are to where you want to be are going to massively transform your business. So book in your call, and I'm looking forward for your transformation session.